Oh, hey, is it me or do miter saws with fences seem to get the most love when it comes to stop block options? Well, I'm done with that. I'm not going to stand for that. Ugh, dang it, I didn't mean literally. Eddie the editor thinks he's freaking funny. All right, put me back right now. Ah, that's better. Now, today we're going to fix all that. We're going to make 3 levels of fenceless stop blocks for your miter station. If you're ready to get better accuracy and repeatability out of your saw, let's go ahead and do. Very funny. Whatever. Let's just get into the video. All right, for level 1, it's going to be fairly basic, and it's going to be the only one of the 3 that does not require you to have a T-track installed in your tabletop. All right, this one here is going to go pretty quick. We're going to start here at the miter saw, and we're going to cut down a piece of walnut. You can use a 2x4 here or any scrap lumber that you have around, or you can buy a piece of lumber, but we're just going to use a piece of walnut just because I have some left over. Next, we're just going to round over the top edges just to kind of make it look nice. And then we're going to put on some of my homemade board butter or wax. Now it's made for waxing your actual wood, not your wood. So the beauty of this one is in its simplicity. It can simply be positioned wherever you need it, and it can then be just clamped directly to your tabletop. And in my case, I have drawers right here, so I can just open that drawer just a little bit and really crank down on that thing. And as long as you're not jamming your boards up against there, it's not going to move this stop block at all. So that will get you where you need to be. All right, so that was level 1. This is the most beginner-friendly version, and it does not require T-track to be installed in your tabletop. And I did use walnut here. You can use a 2x4, but honestly, anything you have would work. Just remember, just because it's shop furniture and it's functional in nature doesn't mean it can't also be beautiful. All right, for level 2, we're going to take these 2 blocks. This one's maple, this one's walnut. We're going to laminate those together. We're going to do a small glue up here. So let's get that glued up real quick and then we can move on. All right, so this block does incorporate the use of a T-track, and this assumes you already have one installed on your tabletop. But all we're going to do with this is we're going to set it kind of where we want it, and on one end we're just going to mark the center of where the T-track falls so that we know where to place our hole to insert the bolt. All right, to install this one, we just have to put a couple T-bolts into here, and we'll just slot those down into the holes. And throw a couple star knobs on there. Then when you get that wherever you want it, tighten down both of these. That sucker's not going anywhere. Now, a couple of notes. First of all, these aren't actually T-track nuts. These are toilet bolts. And these are a lot cheaper than T-track nuts, at least the last time I checked. And all I did with these is I bought them. They're usually like 3 or 4 inches long. I just cut them down to length and they work just fine. You could get away with one single T-bolt in this. I probably wouldn't. And the reason I wouldn't is by putting 2 in there and by making sure you get your holes accurate, you can guarantee that whenever you put your block into place, that it's almost always perfectly square with your saw. And this does assume that your T-track itself is square, but the nice thing about stop blocks is it actually doesn't matter too much, because even if this was twisted 45 and you were just touching the tip of this, as long as you're cutting the same width the board every time, it's always going to register on the same part of the board when you butt it up against there, so it doesn't necessarily need to be square. But I can tell you from experience that one T-bolt feels not enough, and it does introduce a lot of play. You can't really get it super tight. You've been a knobby girl.
Level 3.
Or just the next level of stop block, I guess. The last one we're going to build today is going to build upon the second one, but instead of incorporating 2 T-nuts, we're going to have 1. We're going to up the design just a little bit, and we're going to use a dado to create a register point so that you can get away with 1 T-track nut and it will still stay square, and it makes it easy to ride. So let's get started. Okay, now we're going to cut us a dado in the bottom of this that matches the width of this T-track groove here, and then we're going to inlay a piece of perfectly matched wood that will ride in that track so that this can't rack either direction. That will A, make it run smoother, and B, it will allow us to get away with a single knob on this. So let's go ahead and start that. All right, lesson time. Obviously, that turned into a very dangerous situation very quickly. I actually did touch my fingers down on the sander and sanded part of my fingertip off. Had this been a saw or some other more aggressive tool, I could have lost part of my finger. So, honestly, I should have never been trying to sand a piece this small. I thought I could hold on to it. I will learn from that. It won't happen again, I promise you that. So we're going to adapt. We're going to move over to the table saw, and we're going to just tighten up our cut just a little bit more with a fresh piece of wood again until we get to the place where we need, since I can use that gripper to safely cut those smaller pieces on the table saw and avoid sanding off any more of my digits. All right, that's done. Now we can move on to actually cutting out the dado to fit this. And I don't feel like putting my dado stack in, so we're going to take one cut where we want the dado to start, and then we're just going to work our way over slowly until we get the size of dado that we need. I'm very bad about hitting record on the camera after I change scenes here, so I did get this dado cut out on the table saw here, just kind of bumping the fence over as I went. And this piece that we recut at the table saw safely fits in there nice and snug. So I'm pretty happy with that. Now we're just going to chop this down to size at the miter saw. Now we just have to prep for our T-track hardware. All right, now we're just going to follow the same process as last time. We're going to put this over our T-bolt. All right, and then we're actually going to use a little camshaft on this one. So that just goes on there. There we go, and I officially dubbed this the Bach Clocker because it's always blocking our wood. All right, there you have it. 3 different levels of stop blocks for fenceless miter stations. There's something to fit every skill level here, and my personal favorite's that Bach clocker. I'm going to use that on a daily basis here because my Bach's always getting clocked. So if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you like. And dang it, Eddie, let me out of here right now.